Hi everyone, we're here at Solana Breakpoint for the first time in Abu Dhabi. I'm Rachel Pether and I'm joined today by Parker White. He's the CIO of DeFi Dev Corp. Parker, thanks so much for coming on and
Thanks for having me. Sure, thanks for wearing it.
So tell me about DeFi Dev Corp.
So we are the first and most liquid Solana treasury company, so listed on the Nasdaq under ticker DFDB. So we're kind of following that MicroStrategy playbook, but doing it on Solana and deploying our balance sheet on-chain in the DeFi ecosystem, hence being the DeFi Development Corporation.
Excellent. And what are you hoping to achieve with this? Like, how are you making sure that the actual treasury is managed? How are you doing it in the background?
Sure. So myself, our CEO, the rest of the team, we've been in crypto for quite a long time. In fact, our CEO is the CEO of the first Canadian Bitcoin exchange back in 2013. So we've been in the space since almost the beginning and been operating in the space both personally and professionally. All of us come from Kraken. We were at Kraken for, up to 8 years. And we take that expertise and apply it to the treasury management, the balance sheet management. So, proper risk controls, evaluating the smart contract platforms, evaluating the structure of, the lending protocols and all that to, prudently allocate our balance sheet to generate above average returns without, subjecting our shareholders to outsized risk.
And so obviously the digital asset, the treasury space has been growing quite a lot. Yes, definitely led by strategy in the start. How are you seeing the development of this or the evolution of this space?
Yeah, so, interestingly, we were the first non-Bitcoin treasury vehicle. I think we were maybe like the third or fourth treasury vehicle out there. We launched back in April. And so I think what's happening, there's 200 or something launched since then. But I think what's happening is the market has been saturated with these DATs. And many of the operators don't have experience managing digital assets. And so they kind of just raise capital, shove it on the balance sheet, and it's like, all right, now what? And so what I think you're going to see is a crop of companies, a small crop of companies that will differentiate themselves, whether that's through operating companies. Some you see are now starting to acquire operating companies or merge into operating companies. And then others that will be able to maybe generate outsized returns or do something unique. But then all the rest essentially are just these holding companies that don't do anything and will either kind of slowly die or get acquired. So I think you're going to see some level of consolidation, some level of differentiation, but ultimately it will be good for the industry, for customers and, shareholders, investors to have fewer options, but have more differentiated options and clear kind of choices to make rather than being overwhelmed with 400 or something.
Yeah. And so how do you maximize the value for the shareholder perspective in terms of, is it the yield generating within the Solana holdings as well?
So ultimately, everything we do is focused around Solana per share growth, SPS growth. And the only reason you would invest in a treasury company is if it can grow its SOL per unit of investment faster than what we would call the risk-free rate, which would be like an ETF. So the ETFs after fees are going to generate somewhere around 6% SOL per share growth every year. We've done something like, 100% over the last 6 months. And our goal is to grow, a couple 100% a year long term. Now, some years it'll be flat or maybe up just a little bit, but other years it'll be up significantly is the goal anyways. And so that's the reason that an investor would, say buy shares in DFDB rather than buying shares in an ETF or doing something else, is that you want your SOL to grow faster than in any other vehicle. And so we do certainly take more risk than say an ETF. And so we have to compensate for that risk by generating more growth. And there's lots of ways to do that, whether that's generating yield from the balance sheet natively or also the capital markets activity, stuff that MicroStrategy does, running the ATM, issuing preferred stock, convertible bonds, all that stuff. And we got a few other unique tricks up our sleeve that we think will, help us to grow as well.
Excellent. And because they're up your sleeve, does that mean you're not allowed to talk about them just yet?
So whenever we announce something, we have to do a big, worldwide press release kind of thing. We're not quite ready, but, it'll be coming soon.
Excellent. Well, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you. I think it's super interesting what you're doing in the space in terms of accessibility and actually generating value for shareholders. So thanks so much for coming on, Parker.
Thanks for having me on, and thanks for wearing the cap.
My pleasure. Thanks for giving it to me.